Welcome to Geek Fandom Media. I'm your host, Chris, and I cannot wait to jump into some of these topics, you guys. We're going to be talking Marvel Studios and some DC stuff. This is pretty exciting. Now, Jeff Snyder and Daniel RPK, both reliable inside scoopers, you guys. They've been dropping some good bombs, some good tea I can't wait to discuss. Now, the X-Men. Everybody's excited to see what Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios, what they do with the full rights of the X-Men and with their reboot of the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Deadpool and Wolverine, I still consider to be a Fox film, essentially, because it's kind of like the closing out of that whole Fox era, right? So as far as the whole X-Men reboot in the MCU, which I really do hope comes after this multiverse saga ends, I am so curious to see what kind of stories they can do inside the MCU now that the mutants are going to be the face of the MCU. Because I do think that the mutants are going to be the face of the MCU moving forward. I mean, why would you not lead with the X-Men going into your next saga? Everybody is so excited to get this multiverse stuff over with, including myself. I just want to see the X-Men and I want to see the Fantastic Four. And I want to see characters from the world of the supernatural in the MCU. That's what I'm pretty much looking forward to post multiverse saga. Now, you guys, Jeff Snyder is claiming that Margaret Qualley is rumored to be considered for the role of Rogue in the X-Men. Now, if you guys don't know her work, her recent work that she got so much praise from is The Substance, which I loved so much. I just bought it, you guys. I cannot wait to watch it. My wife hasn't seen it, so I'm super stoked to show her just how wild this movie is. She has no idea what this movie's about. She's never seen any trailers. She was phenomenal along with Demi Moore. Phenomenal in that film. She brings such a very sex appeal approach to the role. Now, we all know Anne Paquin, right? Anne Paquin was the original Rogue in, the earlier X-Men films. She never really got her footing down to be the Rogue that we all knew from the comic books and the X-Men animated series. She didn't really have that sex appeal. She didn't have that Southern accent. It just wasn't there. It was a very different take on Rogue. I mean, even her powers. Yeah, she still had, her mutant gene. If you touch her, she takes your powers, but she never got the full-blown powers we're so used to seeing Rogue in the comic books, like, flight and, super strength. That's what I'm really hoping they do with Rogue in the MCU. And they can do it. Now, I don't know how Brie Larson feels about Captain Marvel. I feel like she might be over it. I doubt we're going to get a Captain Marvel 3. We might get a Civil War 2.0 or Civil War Part 2 that can lead, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel and Sam Wilson's, Captain America. That could be a possibility. But in the comic books, you guys, and in the animated series, Rogue holds on to Captain Marvel for too long, essentially taking all of her power away from her. And that's how she gains her flight and her super strength. I wouldn't be opposed of them doing something like that for the X-Men in the MCU. That would be quite fascinating to me. And I do think that Margaret can deliver a stellar performance as Rogue in the MCU. But like I said, this is just a rumor. Nothing is official right now, but they are looking to cast much younger for this next phase of the MCU for the mutants and the X-Men, which I think is a brilliant idea. I don't know what they plan to do with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. They just introduced adamantium and, Captain America Brave New World. What's going to happen with that? Nobody really knows. But I'm excited for, this young core of X-Men. It's the rumored cast so far. You have, excuse me. You have, where is it? I'm sorry. You have Harris Dickinson, who's rumored to be, being considered for Cyclops, Sadie Sink, Jean Grey. And now you have, Margaret Qualley as Rogue. And then you have Julia Butters for Kitty Pryde. A much younger core group for the X-Men in the MCU. Nothing wrong with that. But I hope they introduce Nightcrawler. You got to have Nightcrawler. That is, her brother, essentially. And I want to see Mystique, her mother. I really hope they push and lean towards that, for the most authentication of these characters from the comic books. And like I said, in the live action stuff, they never really hinted at that. They never really talked about it. Even, Magneto and Quicksilver, it was kind of like brushed over in Apocalypse. And I was like, oh, come on, dude. Like, how are you not going to address that? Like, that was so frustrating to me, seeing that just getting, completely brushed over. But I'm excited for the X-Men in the MCU. I think it's a brilliant idea to go young for this next core cast. You know, they all seem like they have so much potential. I am super excited. But you got to cast Professor X. You got to cast Magneto. Where do they plan to go with something like that? I know Jeff Snyder, and, he was on John Roku's show, and they were kind of hinting, Denzel could play Magneto in Black Panther 3. I was like, what? Why would Magneto be in Black Panther 3? Interesting. But we'll see what happens, you guys. I'm pretty sure with more updates going towards the end of the year, apparently they look to start shooting this film next year for a release date of 2027. That was being speculated on the internet, and, with a couple of inside scoopers, dropping some tea. So we'll see what happens with that. Also, Marvel Studios is rumored to be wrapping up the Kang storyline. That's it for Kang. And apparently Doom will be the one to kill him and take him out. Now, there's rumors of Jonathan Majors who could potentially return to the role of Kang, but I don't know how you would feel or how Jonathan Majors would feel to come back to be killed off like that. I mean, I'm like, what? That's it? But even at the way they ended Loki, right? Ending Loki season 2 was kind of a brilliant way to end, the Kang storyline. But you have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium, and you have all the different, variations and variants of Kang, so it can be a little bit complicated. They still have that loose end that they need to take care of. And I wouldn't mind at all if we see a scene of Dr. Doom destroying all of the Kangs in the multiverse, just to let us know how powerful Dr. Doom is. I always stated, we have to see something from Doom that we haven't seen before in the MCU to really feel that threat level for Doomsday in Secret Wars. Because as of right now, we don't know just how powerful this dude is at all. We need something for that convincing from Robert Downey Jr. So if they decide to do something like that where, Downey's Doom destroys all the variants of Kang and, by all means, that would be wild and super cool. Imagine that's like a post-credit scene for Fantastic Four First Steps. Absolutely game changer, you guys. I'm telling you, it would be so huge. Now, Daniel RPK is reporting that Doomsday will begin shooting in April instead of March. It was reported that it was going to be shooting in March, but, apparently the script isn't complete yet. Take your time. I don't care if you have to delay this movie. I need this script to be absolutely fantastic and wonderful. So if you're pushing and you're trying to get this, this start date to start shooting and your script isn't ready, I'm a little concerned. Now, granted, when the first Iron Man came out, their script wasn't even complete. They were winging it. But that was the very start of your universe. You've now, 35 movies in? There's no excuse. Your script should be ready to go when they are ready to go and not rush any projects. We're done rushing this shit. Norman, I'm so over it. I'm completely over it. So hopefully they can get that script done, and not have any issues with Avengers Doomsday. Because boy, oh boy, after Endgame, you got some shoes to fill. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. It's going to be absolutely insane. Now, moving on to DC, you guys, Robert Pattinson has confirmed that the Batman Part 2 starts shooting later this year. The Batman Part 2 doesn't release until October of 2027, you guys. We still got so much time until that film. So it's going to be a while. And he said the storyline is cool. I'm like, that's it? That's just cool? Andy Serkis a couple of weeks ago was hyping up the story as well, saying that, what's his name? The director of the Batman. Why am I drawing a blank? Matt Reeves apparently has discussed the script with him and then the story. And, he's absolutely ecstatic about it. Now, no doubt in my mind, I think that the Batman Part 2 is going to be an amazing film. I love the first film. I love the whole detective noir style. It was a brilliant, well-made, well-executed film. I can't wait to see what Matt Reeves has cooking for the Batman Part 2. Will it be canon to the DCU? Who knows? Nobody knows what's going on, you guys. We'll see what happens. It could be interesting. Now, you guys, Clayface. We got a Clayface update. I don't know if you guys are excited for Clayface, but I am. So, Clayface update. Let's get into it. Hollywood horror story about a B movie star. Interesting. Now, I just read a Clayface comic book. I think it's called One Bad Day. It's a whole issue run of different Batman villains. It's called One Bad Day. It's a single issue story. Brilliant stuff. I think it would be a brilliant idea if they took ideas from The Substance. The Substance and like The Blob, because I'm such a big fan of The Blob, of way, that massive, disgusting looking creature was, operating throughout that entire city. It was absolutely insane. It's a $40 million budget. Jeff Wadlow was not in talks to direct, but James Watkins, who just directed Speak No Evil with James McAvoy, which I love so much, is expected to meet with the studio. Mike Flanagan, who wrote the script, is unavailable to direct due to commitments he has already had. Probably his Exorcist films. That's why he won't be directing Clayface. But he wrote Clayface. I just hope they really, really emphasize in this particular Clayface project the emotional beats of this character and why they decided to tell this story and why it's important to tell this story of Clayface. The fact that we're getting a Clayface film before we even get a Batman movie in the DCU is kind of confusing. But that doesn't mean that Batman can't appear or show up. He's a Batman villain. I'm really looking forward to this, especially, if Mike Flanagan wrote the script. And if Mike Flanagan wrote the script and James Gunn is so, eager to greenlight a Clayface project, you guys. Clayface. Now, I know, it's big right now to do, villain stories. We've had the Joker succeed at the box office and, Academy Award winning with Joaquin Phoenix, so it could possibly work. And I don't, no doubt in my mind, what James Gunn is cooking over there at DC Studios, he's going to do wonders. I'm just really hoping for the horror elements and the horror aspect of this Clayface film. I mean, it's Basil Carlo, man. I'm really hoping they do some weird, crazy stuff. If it's going to be set in Hollywood, him wanting to be the best actor, him wanting to be, the top dog and paid the millions and millions. And, every audition he takes, or, he takes away from, certain actors or, taking their shape and their form. They can get really dark and really crazy with this, you guys. So it's exciting. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about some of these updates and rumor reports evolving around the X-Men, Marvel Studios, the Batman, and the Clayface project. Thank you guys for taking time out of your day for watching Geek Fandom Media. And of course, thank you guys. Peace.